questions we want to answer. So one is that for a new price or incentive policy, like how should we evaluate it ex ante, like before it's launching to the public? We call that evaluation problem in the later of the presentation. The second one is like if we can design one from the beginning, so how should we do that? That's actually how should we estimate or measure the price incentive response curves. So we call that measurement problem. And the well-implemented way in transportation is a combination of stated preference surveys and discrete choice model. If we look into the literature, it's actually driven by the developments in economics. So let's look at the first attempt to do the measurement. So that's by Thurston in 1931. He tried to establish the utility indifference functions curve based on the SP survey, stated preference survey. So that's also the first SP survey in the recorded academic history. So here he set up a hypothetical settings that if all these combinations cost you the same, which one do you prefer? So compared to 8 heads and 8 shoes, do you like 6 heads and 9 shoes better? And based on that result, you will see that black and white dots, that's actually the responses from the participants. He is able to build this convex shape of utility indifference curve. So that actually becomes a practical, common practical in the later literature. And it also turns out to be the first economic experiment. So it's interesting that this paper actually starts 2 areas. One is the stated preference survey, and another one is economic experiments. I will say later on how they actually grew up to be different. So stated preference surveys and discrete choice model have been successfully applied in the field of transportation. So the first attempt is by Davison in 1973 that he actually applied SP survey to evaluate a new surveys of Air Canada. And then, almost at the same time, McFadden announced a series of important papers that established multinomial logistic regression, and he used that to estimate the mode share of bug. Turns out to be very successful. And later on, it's a common practice. We combine review preference, stated preference, and discrete choice model together to estimate and forecast demand. So here are 2 just successful stories I put here. One is in marketing research, where Credo used the method to predict demand for extended area telephone service. And it turns out to be very accurate. And another one is Morikawa, Akiwa, and McFadden. They used that to forecast demand for high-speed train in Holland. And they found that after some recalibration, the stated preference data or the result actually is consistent with the real-world outcome. But there are problems. As old saying goes, there's a difference between seeing and doing, and economists serialized and measured that difference. So, and then they call it hypothetical bias. So the first theoretical work comes in 1955 with Simonson. He built a game theory to describe the process of answering a survey, and says that there's no incentive really for the subject to tell the true willingness to pay. And then the first comparison of reviewed and stated preference survey estimate is established in 1966. They found there's a gap between them. So, and later on, there are lots of similar findings in different areas. So one is a series work from Diamond, Huseman, McFadden. They try to measure the willingness to pay to protect wilderness areas. And they found that stated preference are actually sensitive to the problem formulations and hence unreliable. Another story in transportation happened in California here. So there are 2 new toll roads. One's I-15 connect Bay Area to Yosemite. Another is SR-91, it's in Los Angeles. And they actually study the value of time based on the reviewed preference data they collected. Actually, they collect their actual road use behavior, their road choice. And then they also conducted an SP survey at the same time, asked them, given 2 options, which one will you choose? And then they found that actually the RP result of value of time is $20 per hour, but the SP one only gives you $10. And the results suggest that use SP data in computing benefit from travel time savings will undervalue the projects whose purpose is to reduce congested travel time. So the question comes in that can we do better in transportation in terms of measuring price response curves and in terms of evaluating the new policies? So if we look at another kid of Sunstone, that's experimental economics, they kind of take a different way of approaching the same problem. So a later study that's like this one, Roses and Hutt, they try to reproduce the same sensible story, but differently. It's like the same settings. They set up hypothetical questions that between eggs and strips of bacons, which combination do you like? But the difference is here. Like after you choose which one you like, you need to eat all of them. So that's before you make the choice, your stomach tells you that, hey, I have to eat it all. Be careful, please, to make your choice. So that's actually one first attempt I can find in literature that try to convert the stated preference, or actually try to find the gap between stated preference and how to convert it into a real preference. And 1944 is an important year in economic theory. That's the famous book, Theory of Games and Economic Behavior, was published. And they established expected utility theory based on that book. And then the crisis comes as called LA paradox. LA conducted an SP survey that asked subjects to choose between two lotteries. And what he found that is the result shows the expected utility theory is wrong. It's not consistent with the theory. And then people start to ask, say, which is wrong? The theory is wrong, or is a hypothetical choice is wrong? Then the studies start to emerge in 1950s. Lots of actually field economics start to conduct similar study, but with real incentives. So they share two features in common. One is in a controlled environment, it's in laboratory. Another one is it's all cash validity studies. That means subjects actually pay based on their choice and based on their performance. And later on, in 1965, Bechter, Groot, Mastag says that instead of giving people lots of binary choices, how about we directly ask them what's their willingness to pay? And they designed this auction mechanism. Now we call it BDM auction mechanism. That's an incentive-compatible procedure to measure willingness to pay. And another paper here is like try to working on the first feature here. Say how about we bring the laboratory economics into the field, and also at the same time with controlled environment. So they implement randomized control trial in the social science. That's actually a method that already exists in the medical research for evaluating policies. So here I just quickly pull up all the methods like related to the topic today in experimental economics. For the evaluation method, there are non-experimental ones. I mean, in transportation, it's more like if you work with like safety studies, it's before-after studies. And the quasi-experimental and randomized control trial. Here, the randomized control trial is that when all the treatment is assigned randomly by the study conductor. And it can control the confounding factors. So the difference between control group and treatment group is only the treatment itself. And the drawback of that method is, of course, it costs time and money. But if you have the opportunity, we always prefer this one here because it's free of confounding factors. And for the measurement, so there are actually three widely used methods: Berkeley auction, eBay auction, and BDM mechanism. And like, the first two actually bid against unknown bidders, like when you bid something on eBay. So that have two drawbacks. One is you need time to get a result. It often takes 1 day or 2 days. Another one is that it actually cannot reveal your true preference at some time because you are bidding with someone. So there are some distortions of that.
So the BDM mechanism, instead you bid against random number, you can see the result immediately after you submit your bid. So that's the one we picked to measure the willingness to accept. So here, like quickly, I put my contributions here. So we conducted 2 case studies in parking to implement the method in experimental economics into the transportation. So one for the evaluation part, we run the study called FlexPass. It's in spring 2015. We recruit about 400 subjects. And the purpose of that study is to evaluate a new kind of incentive scheme that is unbundling the monthly parking permit into a daily commodity. And the result shows that the randomized control trial reveals the causal power of that incentive scheme and shows that there's 4.2 reduction in parking demand. So the second one we run in fall semester of 2015. We have 215 subjects. We utilize second price auction to reveal the incentive required to relinquish parking. And for that, so here are like sub-bullets. So we first have an incentive compatible measurement of the incentive response curve. And second, we have a measurement for every individual of their utility in difference curve. And third one, based on that information, we can have a rich market segment. We can segment the parking market by day, by week, and by individual consumption behaviors. So all these studies is under the value pricing pilot program, so which is established by US Congress as congestion pricing pilot program in 1991. So there are 12 state-led programs and 2 city-led programs. So Berkeley is one of them, and University of California, Berkeley actually collaborates with Berkeley City on the project of repricing parking. So it grants the tolling authority to the city, so that you will say later if the participants violate the rules, we can actually give them cites. So some just quick background of our campus parking. So all our subjects are employee permit holders. They buy their monthly parking permit at a rate of about $100 per month. That's an all-you-can-eat model. You pay for the whole month, you can park any day you like. And turns out to be it's very hard to find parking. It's more like become a hunting permit. Because of double car park, you go around campus, hunt for a space. Okay. So the first study I want to introduce is actually the measurement study. So that's we call FlexPass Plus, and we implement a repeated second price reverse auction to measure people's willingness to accept to forego parking. So that's how it works. So every day in the morning, first you need to install an app on your phone. So in the morning you can select a bid from $0 to $15, and you press submit bid. After that, we will generate a random number, uniformly distributed from 0 to 15. It's independent for every day, for every individual. And if that random number is greater than your bid, your parking is sold. It's like we bought your parking. And the price is a random number. So you win the random number as a rebate, and the consequences is like you cannot park today. Otherwise, if that random number turns out to be smaller than your bid, just nothing happens. The auction doesn't goes on, and just you can do whatever you want. So that's study design. So before looking at the data, so just imagine if you are a subject, how will you be to sell your parking every day? So here's a survey, or here's a question we help our subjects to understand the auction rules. So imagine that you are on vacation in Hawaii on next Monday. So what would you bid to sell your parking privilege for that day? So you can choose from 0 to 50. I mean, just quick come up. 15? Any others? 3? 6? 5? I mean, it's like you can pick anyone, but let's look at why actually you should be 0, and let's say why. Good. Okay, great. See here. So here's an example. Oh. So here's the example here. So for example, say your value of parking is $10. So if you're not going to park on campus, you need to take a transit. The transit ticket costs you $5, and additional walking time convert to another $5 for you. So if you're not going to park on campus, you need to cost $10 to take transit. And here, if you bid 0, the random number is always greater than your bid, right? You win for sure. And the expected amount you can win is just half 15. It's like half of 15 is 7.5, right? That minus your cost is $10 gives you that it's like negative 2.5. And times the probability of the event happens, that's 100%. So your net gain is negative $2.5. And see, on the other side, if you bid 15, so bid maximum, I mean, there's no chance the random number could be greater than 15. The chance of winning is 0, so your expected payoff is also 0. So intuitively, you don't want to be too high, that reduces the chance of winning. And on the other side, you don't want to be too low, that may turns out, it may turn out that if you bid 0, it could turn out to be you only win $2 and you need to take $5 to take transit. And in between, you will see here, if you look at the red number here, it is actually maximized when you bid your true value of parking. That's the $10. So if the participants are trying to maximize their payoff when they are actually bidding, so they will tell us the truth. They will tell us directly how much they want to forego parking on that day. So, addition to the auction for the bid we collected, we also collect travel reports. That's two questions. Like before you see the auction result and after you submit the bid, you need to answer two questions. So one is that if you win the auction, how will you come into campus? Another one is that if you lose the auction, how will you come into campus? So we'll see later why these two questions are important. That's our software system design. So one thing like you maybe want to pay attention to is that we have a parking enforcement. That means if you report that I'm not going to park on campus, I collect the rebate by park my car, you will get a ticket. The ticket is $75. So that actually makes them like choose technique. So let's see how a subject fits. Yeah, so here are examples to help you to understand better. So there are actually two populations. One says that if I win the bid, I will, do something I like. But if I lose the bid, I will park on campus. That's like the red ones, like the Raja. They always drive to campus and park there. So if I lose the bid, there's no incentive for me. I go to park on campus. Another group is like my cousin, who enjoy the benefit of biking. And even there's no money for you, you will bike. That's another cohort. So, and if you look at the bid behavior, like the red bars is a mean bid for the first group, and the blue bar is a mean bid for the vacancy group. So you will see that's the first month of data. On the first day, the red bar and the blue bar are quite close. On the second day, the blue bar is even higher. That's actually weird. Because as you can see, the blue population, their value of parking is close to 0. And for the red population, their value of parking should be some positive number. And things get better. On the second week, you will see like the red bar is higher, the blue bar is low. But it's always, like at about like $4, $3. It never goes to 0. Then we issue the Hawaii question.
Is that real data or?
It's real data.
So I never did this, so.
I fake picture, real plot. Fake. Oh, that's like.
I knew this was gonna go wrong.
Yeah. So you remember that we asked a question here.
Yeah.
If you lose, how will you come into campus?
Okay.
That question actually separate our population into two cohorts, right? So people who say that if I lose, I'm going to take other modes instead of park on campus. That's why. Their original plan is not park on campus. And thus, their value of parking should be close to 0. And we give them the Hawaii treatment. So we ask them this question here. Now you should know that you should be 0, right? That actually maximizes your payoff. So because you actually has nothing to lose, and the way to win maximum amount of money is be 0. If they did not do that, they bid something greater than 0, we will say that you are left money on the table. So we explain the rule again. So actually we explain the option rules in the instruction. That's a long document people need to read when they actually enter study. Turns out to be that they never read it. So that's a lesson we learned from that. So we issued another survey in the middle of study to correct that. And after that, the survey issued on October 7th. And after that, you will select the blue bar is either 0 or 1 or 2. So we start to understand what's going on. So in the later study, in the later analysis I'm showing, I will only show the data from here to here. So I just dropped all the data here. So another quick look is that if we focus on the red population, that's like larger population, they say that if I lose a bid, I will park on campus. If I win, I will take other alternative modes. So the top choice is park off campus. The second one is taking transit. The third one is not commute. So if we first look at the not commute, people who say that if I win the auction, I'm not going to commute. Their median bid here is around $2.5. Compared to the transit one, I cannot read that, but it's $10. So that difference shows something. Like that could include the transit ticket, the actual, the additional working time, and if you look at the park off campus population, they actually park on the residential streets that actually they need to move their car every 2 hours, or they park in city garage, which is $2 per hour. They bid about $7 or $8. And for the rest of them, like people who say I'm going to walk and bike, their bid is around $4 and $5. So here is a distribution of all the data we collected. So it's an empirical CDF of the bids. So here, x-axis is bid value, and y-axis is just empirical CDF. Different colors means different weekdays. The light blue ones are Friday. So if we say that, look at 20% quantile, and on Friday the quantile is $5. On Thursday the quantile is $10. So that means actually on Thursday people bid general higher amount, right? And if we believe that they are actually telling us the true willingness to accept, we can actually relabel these two axes into demand versus incentive. So people who actually, here you will see that 20% people bid under $5. That also means that if on Friday I provide a $5 per day incentive, 20% of them actually have a value below 5, so they will accept that. So the reduction on Friday will be 20%. And the same is as the Thursday one. So if we provide a $10 per day incentive on Thursday, 20% of them will accept that and follow. So that actually is a direct measurement of incentive response curve that we actually, in the SP survey and discrete choice model one, we actually try to estimate that curve based on different assumptions. But here we have a direct measurement of that. That's the first result. So, and we'll show later that the data is more than that. Instead of produce incentive response curve, we actually can provide rich market segmentations of our parking market. We can separate market by time and by behavior. So here's an example of the effect of weather, so which is actually hard to find from the before-after study, because weather is always a confounding factor in the before-after study. So here, if you look at the study period, there are in all 6 plus 1 7 days of cloudy and rainy days. And if you look at on those days, at the 720% quantile, people actually bid higher. So that's a population level of data, and let's go into individuals. So you will see like everyone is different. So here like it's a messy plot, I know, but so every green curve here is the bid data for an individual, So and you will see they're quite different. For example, like individual here, even with zero incentive, for 50% of the time he's not going to park on campus. But for individual here, like you need to provide $13 for him to make some change in his behavior. And if you're looking, I'm more closer, and we try to build the utility difference curve for every individual. So here's one, it's a linear one. So there are, in all, the study lasts for 3 months. In all, there are 61 working days. This individual, for 1 day, he'd be 0. So that means like let him park 61 days and 60 days. I mean, you do not need to pay him anything. So here's like 0 start here. So from here, if you want him to reduce 1 day of parking, you need to pay him. Here the rate is about $10. For example, if you want him to park on campus for 40 days, you need to pay him about here $200. And this people is actually, you can see like it's beating almost the same number every day. So that's why it's linear. So the slope is actually the beating. So for another individual here, we'll see for 20 days he'd be 0. So that means this 20 days of parking, he doesn't need that. And for another 20 days, he'd be around $7 a day. That's this part. And for the rest, he did not bid. So we put a red dash here because we assume that if they did not bid, that means his value of parking is about $15 per day. So the slope of this red dash is $15 per day. So that's for another one. Just it's a smooth one. You will see that his value varies from $2 to about to the 15. And then the question we try to ask further is like this heterogeneity structure. Can we find some structures in these heterogeneities? And then we find mixture models for the individual heterogeneities. Let me just show the result. So the model shows there are 6 Nathan classes in our subjects. And we actually label them based on their parking behavior. So the first level is actually based on the baseline parking usage. That's like when there's no incentives, how often they drive on campus. The second level is based on their elasticity. That's actually how sensitive they are actually like to the price changes. So we'll say like for the occasional drivers who actually drives on campus when there's no incentive, he drives on campus for about 3 or 4 days per week. Regular drivers drive around 4 days per week. Office drivers drive 5 days a week. And you will see like even for this population, there are some subpopulation here are actually very sensitive to the price. So the elasticity here means like if you increase the price by 100%, how the demand will change. Here, like the demand will reduce by 110%, and for this one, the demand will reduce by 80%. So that's segmentation in the individual level. And then we try to see if we can, based on our result, design some incentive schemes. So here we are considering like 2 schemes as a comparison. One is a fixed rate scheme. So we provide a fixed rate for all the days. Another one is a variable daily rate. Like we provide different rates for different weekdays and even for different weather conditions. And the goal here, if you see the blue one, the purple one, the purple one is a baseline. So that's like how people, that's a percentage of people not park on campus when there's no incentives. So that's a baseline consumption. And you will say like peaks are on Fridays. On Fridays, even there's no incentives, people don't park on campus because they have flexible schedules. And the red line here is the target level we want to achieve. The story here is say we want to start build new parking lots. And the campus population is growing, but we cannot actually afford to build more parking lots in the downtown Berkeley area. So we want to reduce the parking supply by 20%. Then with that purpose, we actually need to consider the worst days. So if we do a fixed rate scheme, you will see the effect is the green one, is the yellow one. And on Fridays, there will be leftover spaces. That's like on Fridays, provide $5, people actually reduce a lot of demand. So there will be leftover spaces. And on Thursday or Tuesdays, there will be congestion. Like the reduction is less than the target level. And if we implement the variable daily rates, the result will be the green ones. I will say like the peaks get smaller and the gaps is filled. And overall, it can improve the performance by about 20%. So that kind of finished the first story. And that's the measurement story. And then we go to evaluation. So the evaluation, well, we call it FlexPass. And the question we try to say is, try to answer is, what's the treatment effect of the FlexPass? So here is the FlexPass design. It's designed by Professor Penny Deacon from City Planning Department. So they designed based on SP survey. So they found that on average for the 22 working days in a month, people park about 17 days. So we are going to rebase them, start 17 here. That means if you enrolled in the program, and for that month, you park 22 days, there's nothing for you, no incentive. 21 days, no. 20 days, no, until you reach 17 here. We start to rebate you at a fixed rate per day. So for F permit, that's like they pay like $100 per month, and C permit they pay $130 per month. So F permit the rate is $6 per day, C permit is $8 per day. It's basically like divide the monthly price by 17 days. So it's unbundling the monthly commodity to a daily product. And we try to evaluate what's the effect of that. So to do that, we recruit about 10% of our subjects from the entire employee parking permit holder population, and we randomly assign them into two groups. And then the difference, I mean the treatment effect, should be any differences in the number of days of not park on campus. And turns out to be the treatment effect is about 4.2% reduction. But there are some problems here, so we still have some time. So like one major problem is actually for the control group here. Like all the behaviors, like when we measure number of non-parking days, is measured by self-reporting through smartphone. So it's like the FlexPass app you see before. They report on the phone that I'm not parking today. And by doing that, they can collect rebate. But if they collect rebate and park on campus, there will be a ticket. So the thing is that the control group should do the same thing, but there's no rebate for them. There's no incentive for them. So there's a huge missing report rate from the control group that actually biased our study. So to solve that, we issue the weekly survey every Monday to ask them what you did last week that try to correct this bias. So that's the reason why the p-value here is not significant. It's like 7%. So because we actually combine with the email data to do the bias correction. So here's the conclusion slides again. So that's just some like quick pickups. So for the evaluation problem, we utilize randomized control trial. The advantage or the upside is it's free of confounding. The downside is, of course, like there is a cost. So you need to recruit additional control group. Actually, doesn't provide. You need to actually first you need to design a study and you need to pay them for the anticipation phase, but you actually haven't observed any behavior change from them. So that's a cost. So the second one is we utilize second price auction to do the measurement. So we did a direct measurement for the incentive response curve, and we have rich information for the market segment. And the cost is very high also. So because actually when you beat 0, the expected payoff is 7.5 per day. So in the end, we spend $18,000 for 200 subjects. So that's about $30 per person per month. Yeah, that's it. So last slide is about thank you for you guys to come on my lesson. So I first want to thank the team. So the Hen, Fadi, and Clemens. We designed the study together and they implemented the software system. Without them, there's nothing going to happen. I also want to thank my advisor, Roger. He actually gave me lots of help on research and also on my life. Yeah, he actually tells me how to be a man, and I mean, if I have
make note of that. Don't mess with me again.
If I have, additional time, I can stay here. I will learn how to live this project. So I also want to thank my lab mates from Canada and Vishwa. They give me lots of advice and they listen to my presentations for lots of time, and they are still here. So thank you. And I want to thank the program managers and then Green Berkeley from Federal Highway, and also the director of Park and Transportation here, and the TDM manager, Laura Benet, the director is Siemens Wilma. I also want to thank Bernie. So because Bernie helped us order about 1,000 gift cards for our participants. That's thankful. I want to thank my committee members, my advisor, John, Alexei, and Shaker. So they actually give me lots of advices and during the experiment, how to conduct it, and also after it, how to analyze the data. That's why I want to thank my friend. They keep me accompanying when my hair was short and goes long and go to short again. They are always there, so thank you. Last, I want to thank my parents. Without them, I'm not going to anywhere. So that's it. Thank you, guys.
Did you ask for the gaming survey participants, did you take any demographic or other identifying data? And if so, were you able to identify any trends in how different groups segmented when you identified those market segmentations?
Right. So in the entry survey, we collect